guys, welcome back to We Should Talk, a pop culture interview series from In the Know. I'm your host, Gibson Johns, and this week on the podcast we have Marysol Patton from The Real Housewives of Miami. Marysol is obviously an OG of the show, and she is back for this fourth season that is currently airing on Peacock as a friend of. And I just love Marysol. I think that she is in such great form right now. I think, a lot happened in her life during those 8 years when the show wasn't on, and I think she's come out of some of that hardship, some of those tough moments lighter and just leaning into her humor. And I just think that she's been great this season. And there's a lot of question from fans about, why is she a friend of? Why is she not full time? Similarly to Adriana. And after talking with Marysol about that in this interview, I kind of understand the friend of role for her, and it's kind of always how it was meant to be for her this season, as she explained. And I think that she's serving a really great role. I think the friend role in general can be as big or little as you make it, and she's really leaning into it and making a big impact and moving the story forward. We recorded this before that epic Montauk trip and before that amazing dinner where she stirred the pot, because that was the only time I could get with her. But nonetheless, we talked about all things season 4, what happened in her life between seasons. And one of my favorite parts of this interview is when she shared the tagline that she would have used this season if she had been full-time. So I think a lot of listeners will get a kick out of that. So anyway, keep listening for my interview with Marysol Patton. Tune into The Real Housewives of Miami, streaming now on Peacock with new episodes every Thursday. And please rate, review, and subscribe to We Should Talk on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. All right, so we're here with Marysol Patton from The Real Housewives of Miami. Miami is back. We are fully in it. Marysol, how are you?
I'm doing so good. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Your dog Tupac was just on screen with us, putting a little sweater on. We were just talking about him.
Yeah.
And you're also
like to do interviews naked. He's not a porn star.
I'm obsessed. You're also in your amazing house, which I love. We're seeing your house a lot this season, and I love it. It's such a good vibe.
It's so cute. Right? It's my husband's house. He just lets me live here. Yeah. Yeah. It's very Hampton.
So generous.
You don't see this kind of house in Miami.
Totally. But I love the vibe.
Thank you.
So, how are you feeling? Now that we're deep into season 4, first season in 8 years, how are you feeling?
I'm so entertained by the show. I'm watching it. I think it's the most entertaining thing ever. I really do enjoy watching it. It's quite good, right?
It's quite good. And it feels almost like it's an updated version of Miami, but there's some kind of vintage Housewives elements about it, which I really appreciate and love. So it's kind of a really good mix of everything.
Yeah, I agree. I think it really shows the diversity of Miami perfectly.
Absolutely. I totally agree with that. And I think that whoever was in charge of the casting for this did a really amazing job of bringing back the right people, I think, and then also putting enough new people and new faces in there. So
they nailed it totally.
For sure. So what was your reaction when you found out? Because I had Lisa on several weeks ago, and she said that she had heard kind of over the years they had asked you guys sort of, are you willing to come back? Are you willing to come back over the years? But nothing ever materialized. Right. So when this actually went through and you were like, okay, we're filming, I'm a part of it. What was your reaction to that?
I kind of just was, I don't know. I was just kind of in it. I just kind of did it. And it felt like, we never stopped. We just kind of are living our lives that we live anyway, but there are cameras there. And we did this for so long. We don't even notice the cameras. It's like they're not even there. And we're just doing what we would do anyway. The same conversations, the same life situations, the same silliness. It's exactly the same off camera, on camera, so it felt very natural, normal, Yeah.
Totally. And you're in a friend of role this season as opposed to full time. And I'm curious, did you always know that was going to be the case for you in this season? Because you're still getting a ton of screen time. And I think it's proving that just like we've had amazing friends of in other franchises, like Marlo in Atlanta and Kathy in Beverly Hills, who play huge roles in the season. It's not necessarily an indication of where you necessarily stand in the group. It's just sort of a technicality. But did you always know that was going to be your role this year?
Yes. So I was brought in as a friend. And obviously Alexia had a lot of things going on in her life, and the only person that it would make sense to have these conversations with would be me. And that's how this whole thing came to be. And I was just grateful to be a part of it and be there with my friends. I couldn't imagine not doing this with my girlfriends. I would have felt so left out and awful. So I'm grateful that I got to be there with them.
And I think a lot of people are grateful that you're back. And I think you're correct in saying like, there is so much going on in Alexia's life, and you are such a great sounding board for that. And you give her such good objective advice too. And I think it's a really pivotal role that you're playing in the show. So, and some of those conversations are funny, but also really, really emotional. And so I think you guys play kind of both ends of it really well.
I mean, life is quite serious and complicated, and if we can't make light of it, and at the end of the day, and the times we're living in, and everything is so dark and meek and sad with the COVID and the economy. I mean, I think people want to laugh and and maybe take a bad situation and look at it in a different way, and maybe find the humor in it. I mean, we need to do that. Life is hard enough.
Absolutely. And I'm sensing that from you. Like, I mean, you've always had this side to you, but I feel like you're really leaning into the sort of lighter side to you. That we're really getting out. You're really rattling off these amazing one-liners, like both in scene and in like you're winning the confessional game. I have to say, like,
thank you.
I think you're really kind of, you're bringing something else that nobody else is bringing to the show right now. And I'm curious if that was something that if that was just your mindset going in, okay, like let's just keep this fun and kind of be that vibe for everyone.
I think that if you talk to anybody that knows me, I mean, that's just my personality. I think, before, when I filmed before, I had a business I was running. I'm retired now. I had employees that were like, don't say this, don't say that,
right.
Clients, I was under a microscope, parents I could disappoint. All of that is gone. It's all gone. Everything's gone. I don't have a company anymore. I'm retired. My parents are gone. I don't have anyone to disappoint. And I can just be me and have fun. And my husband loves the way I am. And I'm the same way I am at home. So when he watches me, it's no different. So it's me. I'm always like this. I just wasn't as, I had to, have a little bit of a filter. I ran a big company. A big company and I couldn't up.
So you attribute a lot of that to just sort of like what's gone on in your life in the past 8 to 10 years. Being able to be so kind of fun loving.
Being rich and relaxed.
You gotta that I love that. That's like your new Instagram bio. That's amazing.
Yeah. I'm free.
Yeah, for sure. And I think also fans were really happy to see you get married last year. And I think we've seen some glimpses of you and Steve together on the show, but and then that's one of the kind of the major things that's happened in all the returning cast members' lives. But what were you happy that kind of moment like happened without the cameras because it was just sort of like for you guys? Or I'm curious like where you stood with kind of that, but also like, we lost your mother and other various big things that happened. Were you happy that the cameras weren't there for these moments, or I'm just curious like where you are mentally with that?
Well, so they were doing like a wide net of casting, and I wasn't even sure I was going to be on it at all. And I thought, you know what? I'm just going to live my life. He and I want to get married. We're going to do what we want right now. I don't need a camera there. I've already had a TV wedding. I've been on plenty of other TV weddings, not only on our show, but on other Bravo shows. I went to Nini's wedding, Luann's wedding, Mercedes Javid's wedding, then weddings on our show. I think I'm a little weddinged out. And so, it wasn't anything we planned. It was Steve's birthday, and we thought, we kind of had a little bit of not such great luck in our relationships. And, we were in Tulum, and one of the things that they offer you in the itineraries of things to do is, a spiritual cleansing for a relationship. And I thought, oh my God, that's something that you and I could use. I want us to put our best foot forward. That ended up turning into, a ceremony, and it wasn't planned. It wasn't. And by the way, we got lost. We couldn't find the underground cave. Well, the driver couldn't. Meanwhile, we were drinking Claus' Soul in the back. So I don't even remember that ceremony. By the time I got there, it was lit.
So you don't remember your own the wedding ceremony?
No. And then everyone was like, I saw comments on some social media websites. They're like, she doesn't look very happy. I'm like, how could I be happy? I'm wasted. I was wasted. It took 2 hours to find the cave, going in circles in the car. You know, there's a million underground water caves, these cenotes in Mexico. So, you know,
hey, it adds to the story. You know, it adds to the story, which I love. You know, and it's only one that you can tell. So I think that's really fun.
Yeah.
So you know, I mentioned, but we lost Mama Elsa in the years that the show was on hiatus, and I know it's emotional to talk about, but I guess I was just so heartened by the kind of her presence still being felt on the show, you know, and I mean, the intro itself is her narrating. And I just think it speaks to sort of her lasting impact and the impression that she made when she was around, especially for this show.
I mean,
how did you feel about that?
I wasn't expecting that. I lost it. It really busted me up. Oh my God. My phone was blowing off the hook when they released it. Everyone's like, oh my God, that was so much. Oh my God. And I was like, so much for you. What about me? I mean, that's my mom's voice. That's like really heavy duty. It was very emotional for me. It was a beautiful tribute to her, but it was very emotional. I mean, it's great. It's kind of like they explained it to me like, how could we not start the show without your mom's blessing?
I think that's amazing. I think it really it just honored. I think what's great about this whole reboot even is just like it honored everything that had happened in those first 3 seasons.
Yeah,
and it was a really good connection into this new era, and I think who better to do it than Elsa? So I think that was just, I'm glad that you appreciated that as well.
Oh my God, of course.
Yeah.
Please. I'm so grateful. You know, I loved my mother. She deserves that.
Course. Yeah, I agree. So, I mean, let's cut to season 4. I think I said earlier, I think that the right people came back from those early seasons. Is that how you felt when you saw the people that were returning?
Yes, 100%. 100%. Yeah. And I hadn't really spoken to Larsa since our reunion in season 1. But you know, the first time we saw each other, we just kind of like looked at each other and we're like, we're vibing here. No need to go back there. And we kind of clicked, and I think she's fantastic. I think it was great to bring her back.
I think so too. I think there's a lot of intrigue about Larsa, just considering like her association with the Kardashians. And I think a lot of people have this image of who she had sort of who she was in these past like 5 or 10 years. And I think a lot of that's getting dispelled from her on the show. Like, I think that she's putting her best foot forward on this show. And I think it's really proving a lot of people wrong in a really great way.
Yeah. And I think she's her personality is awesome. I think she's grown a lot. I think she's a great mom, and I like listening to her. She's quite funny. She's super cool. I'm happy she's there. It feels good. It's I'm still getting to know the new girls, but I feel really good when I'm like with the OGs. It's just so comfortable and easy.
Totally.
Yeah, it's easy.
What do you make though of Adriana and Larsa's, back and forth? Because I think it's starting with a sort of like playful light shade kind of relationship, but then it clearly kind of levels up into escalates. What do you make of all that?
Horror.
Really? Is that what you would call it? Horror?
I don't know. It's just like look, anything Adriana says does not surprise me. I expect everything she says that's crazy and comes out of her mouth. I'm like, I expect that. I'm not shocked. Okay. I'm never shocked by anything that comes out of her mouth. I mean, I've known her for 11, 12 years now. Nothing surprises me. Yeah.
I mean, same. I'm just, it's interesting that they're the two that are, I guess it's Adriana sort of with Larsa. There's some sort of issue there, but I'm curious to see how it does escalate, because maybe it just becomes too much for Larsa to deal with or something like that. But
it gets heavy. It gets heavy. You're gonna have to watch. It gets heavy. The fights are pretty wild.
So we mentioned that you're a friend of the season, and your best friend is Alexia, who, I mean, talk about a lot going on in somebody's life. It's, I mean, the past 8 years, but also recently, there's just always something going on with her. And, she lives one of the most surreal lives of anybody that I think I've seen on Housewives almost ever. It's truly wild, some of the stuff that's gone on, but she still remains so strong. Like you think it's too much for somebody to take, but she just keeps on trucking along. What is it about Alexia that she can just kind of deal with all these things that have happened in her life and really come out the other side?
I just don't know where she gets it from. Literally, it's every day, every week, every month, something, maybe one great thing will happen and then 3 catastrophes arrive. It's the craziest thing, but I think that she's so used to it that she knows how to deal with it. And honestly, when my mom and dad were very ill and passing on me, I felt like horrible. Like, and I said to myself, this happens to everybody. Everyone loses their parents. You got to snap out of it. Look at the things Alexia's been through. Look how she deals with things. You need to toughen up. So, she's been a great source of strength for me to help me get through, some hard times in my life. And, she just does it. Like she says to me, Marysol, what choice do I have? What choice do I have?
Right.
Am I going to lay down and let these things consume me? Or am I going to keep going?
Mm-hmm. And when it came to her, all the stuff with Herman and his former lover and all that stuff, like you can't make this kind of thing up. It's just, it happened, but she had such a, almost like a positive outlook on the discovery of that and trying to meet him and understand it, which again, a lot of people would not take that approach just to finding out something like this. And you were right there for a lot of those conversations. So I'm curious what it was like for you to kind of talk her through these things, that in particular, and kind of figure out a solution.
Well, we weren't in agreement. And many times we aren't in agreement on things, but somehow Alexia always helps me see it her way. And I said to her, I wouldn't want to meet my ex-husband's, boyfriend.
Right.
On the side slice situation. Like, I wouldn't want to. And she's like, no, Marysol, I need to meet him because I need to know that Herman was happy. And I need to know what frame of mind he was in his last days and in his last year of his life when we were not 100% together. They were separated for like a year, trying to work things out and get back together. And she was coming from a place of love. She wanted to know that she just wanted to know he was happy and that what he was doing made him happy and that he felt love. And when she said it to me like that, I was like, damn. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, how evolved do you have to be to even think that way?
So compassionate.
Because, I mean, really, I wouldn't have thought that way at all. No, no. But I talk to her every day. She probably would have convinced me that that was the way to think. Sure. She's been through a lot. She knows how to work through things in her head and, look for the bright side and make the best of it.
Yeah, I mean, and I think one of the scenes so far this season that's been, I guess, just living at the top of my mind and kind of the hardest to watch was that scene that ended several episodes ago. It was like a 10-minute scene between Todd and Peter and her. Like, it was just it was a lot, and it felt like it was obviously extremely real and extremely raw. And I think, again, kudos to her for being such an open book with all of this. But well, you weren't there for that. What was it like as one of her best friends to watch that conversation on TV?
It broke my heart when I saw her and Frankie like hanging on to each other in the kitchen, just kind of like looking and listening to the conversation. I had tears in my eyes. I was squeezing my husband's hand. He was like with his mouth open. It was very intense. It's one thing when she, as my friend tells me about something and how it went down, it's one thing to actually watch it. And that was hard. It hurt me for her, it was sad.
But I think one thing that heartens me as just a viewer watching it is like, I think some of the stuff that Todd said was tough, but I think he is coming from a place of providing tough love and trying to help them work through it in a way that maybe somebody else hasn't before. And to me, that just speaks to, she has found a really great partner in Todd and somebody who's going to be there for these really hard moments and not just abandon them and work through them. Is that how you think of a friend?
Todd's truly invested in this family. He loves them. He's planting the seeds and nurturing something that he wants to be strong and be better. We can all be better. always. And so, yeah, he's coming from a place of, I'm the family man and we're a unit and this has to work. And these are the things we need to work on. And that's important. Sometimes we don't want to hear those things, and maybe the delivery wasn't great. But it was his delivery and that's okay. Right. And, that's, a bird's eye view, fly on the wall of what we don't see in most homes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And again, I really do think it came from a caring, loving place, even though I think some people took it as being a little bit too tough, but I think it was,
who are we to say, we don't see what goes on inside other people's homes. It's worse than that, 100 times worse, or some people don't even say anything at all. And they have a whole other life on the side.
Right. Yeah. And most recently, it was really heartbreaking to read about Peter's arrest and all that.
Yeah.
Can you speak to that at all? Or I'm sure you just have been there for Alexia as they've dealt with this as a family.
I kind of left Alexia alone. I sent her text. I didn't call her. I said, we've been in these positions. I know you need your space. I'm sure everyone's blowing up your phone. You call me when you're feeling better and everything's okay. We spoke a few days later and she was just happy Peter was home, and out of, he spent the night in jail and she was happy he was home and everybody was doing much better and things were okay. I mean, this is something she would have to answer for you. I tried not to. I let her say what she wanted to say, and I didn't ask a bunch of questions because she gets that from everybody. It's hard enough already. If you want to tell me, I'll listen. I'm there. Otherwise, I'm not going to ask you a million questions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's not about you. It's about her, and you understand that exactly.
Right.
Yeah, for sure.
Keep it light. It's heavy enough anyway.
Totally. So, I mean, obviously, I'm excited for this new era of Miami, and I hope we get 5, 6, 7, 8. Like, I hope it just keeps going. But I think you mentioned all these weddings that you went to that were televised, and it reminds me just of like this slightly different era of the Bravo Housewives world that you were a part of 8 years ago, 9 years ago. Uh-huh. What are some top of mind memories from those moments? Because I feel like there was a lot of sort of behind the scenes crossovers there, and like you probably became friends with other housewives. What are some memories that pop up for you?
So many. I made friends with some, and we're all still friends. We also keep in touch. I'm friendly with Marlo, Nene, Cynthia, Luann from New York is a very good friend of mine. I've stayed at her home in Sag Harbor many times. She comes to Miami. We hang out. Friends with Adrienne Maloof, Gretchen Rossi, all the Shahs of Sunset, Frederick Eklund. Like, I could go on. It's a million people. Melissa Gorga, Margaret Joseph. So, Margaret's incredible. Like newer, but she actually.
I could see you guys getting along.
I love Margaret.
Love her.
Yeah, she's a hoot. We've never met in person, but she actually used to. So she has this company called Macbeth Collection, and she used to watch Miami, and she would send me her collection because she was a fan. And then when I was off the air, she got cast on Jersey, and then I became her fan. And then so it's kind incredible. Of been like a friendly communication over the years. But she's the only one I have not met in person.
You guys got to have a Miami or New York meetup. It's going to happen.
Yeah. She actually, when, they asked us all to come up with taglines just in case. And I called Margaret because she's really good at that. And so she did my tagline for me, which I never got to use, but
what was your tagline?
Pretty damn
Can
good.
You tell me?
It was good. It was, I'm sass and wit and a little bit of drama. And that's because I get it from my mama.
Marysol, that is perfection. Oh.
Yeah, it was a good one.
That is, oh my gosh. And Margaret Joseph is behind that. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
I remember sending it to my producer and he's like, is that Jill Zarin? Because he heard the New Jersey voice. I'm like, no, it's Margaret Joseph. Because she recorded it and texted to me.
Oh my gosh.
He's like, is that Jill? I'm good friends with Jill Zarin too. Yeah.
that voice note of Margaret Joseph's using your tagline that never made it to air. You could auction that off,
Yeah, maybe I could. We got to find a good charity.
You know what else I've loved about this? This is so small, but breakout star of the season is the lollipop that keeps popping up in your confessional. I'm obsessed.
Oh,
it's such a good prop. It's a good prop, you know?
Well, I actually got it. So my producer, he posted something on Instagram like months ago. And he used to work at MTV, and he did an interview with Britney, and she was sucking a lollipop the whole time. And I wrote on his story, I go, I'm bringing a lollipop to my confessional. And so I started bringing them, and people actually sent me bedazzled handles. You can't really see the handles, but they're all sparkly and they match my cup. And it's fun.
It's fun. It's fun. So
Yeah.
wait, you're a big Britney fan?
I mean, yeah, she's great.
You mentioned a free Britney party that's coming up.
Because the day that we filmed that scene, that was when she was released from her conservatorship.
Oh
and
my
so
God.
Alexia showed up with a Letterman's jacket, and I had a little plaid Burberry miniskirt on. I'm like, oh, it's a free Britney party.
Oh, I love that. Oh my God. I mean, big Britney fan here. So I love that you're paying homage in little ways this season.
Yeah.
That's fun. That's really fun.
Mm-hmm.
Well, to close things out, I mean, we're deep in the season, but I think there's clearly still a lot to come. What can you tease for me about what's coming up this season? Because I know we're in for a wild ride.
The Hamptons is a lot of fun. It's fun. It's wild. Everyone gets into it at some point. Everyone's just like, but it's also very fun. It's a good trip. Yeah. And then, there's more things coming after that.
Mm-hmm.
Alexia's wedding things, preparations, bachelorette. Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff to watch.
Did the wedding get filmed for the show?
You're gonna have to watch that.
Okay, Marysol.
Can't answer some things. I try to answer everything. I can't answer everything.
Hey, I appreciate it. Marysol, this is so much fun. I loved getting to connect with you and pick your brain about this season and all your Bravo memories. And I hope we get to talk soon, and I hope there's more to come from Miami over the next several years, because I think everyone's really excited.
I'm sure there will be. I have a very good feeling.
Good.
Thank you so much for your time.
Of course. Thanks, Marysol.
Have a good weekend. Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to We Should Talk. I hope you enjoyed the interview. You can find out more about In the Know at intheknow.com. You can follow me, Gibson Johns, at Gibsonoma on Twitter and Instagram. And you can listen to all of our interviews, past and future, by searching We Should Talk wherever you get your podcasts. Hope to see you next time.